All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started with our panel of people with lived experience. We're really excited about this. Yeah, is yours turned on? Okay, cool. All right, so Nick Voiles and I, Ashley Collins, are going to be moderating. And we were initially supposed to have 5 people. Whitney Meeks is sick today, and Scotty is delayed, so hopefully he's able to come in last minute. But we do have James, Alex, and Lauren here with us today. So I'm just going to ask the first question, and we're just going to kind of go down, and everyone can answer. So this one is like a double-parter, triple, quadruple parter. Can you please tell us your name, where you're from, how long you've been in recovery, and how you define your own recovery?
All right, my name's James Dodge. My recovery date's April 13, 2018. What was the next question? I'm from Bloomington. I'm born and raised in Bloomington, and I've been in recovery like longer than what my actual sober time is, so probably 4 years beyond that. And then
How do you define your recovery?
I don't define recovery as being sober. I think that's a small part of it. I think recovery is reclaiming your life. Like anything that takes your life away, you need to get out of your life, because there's so many things that we miss out on and that we lose. Like so many times I've lost everything in my life and rebuilt it back, and the substances take over and reclaim it. So recovery to me is just being a little bit better every day, not shooting for the moon, just trying to take a tick up every day.
Thank you, James.
I'm Alex Hutchison. I'm from Bloomington, Indiana. I've been in recovery my clean date is July 29th, 2021. I'm from Bloomington, Indiana. How do I define my own recovery? Staying out of my own head, surrounding myself around people that are in recovery, or just my mentors, whether it's my sponsor or my supervisor at work. Staying out of my own head really is a lot of it.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Alex. Hey, I don't know if you can hear me. I hate microphones. My name is Lauren Dunkelbarger. I work here in Bloomington, and I'm from New Jersey, though, originally. I'm not claiming this state. And I work at the Indiana Recovery Alliance. I don't count my days because I think it's really stigmatizing. I think if in 365 days you were clean half the year, you should still count the half of that year. You shouldn't start back at 1 if you have a relapse. That's what keeps people in relapses. It's why people don't come back into the meetings. It's like a huge reason why I would get stuck and not be able to feel like I could reach out to support. I'm not talking bad about NA or AA or any kind of group like that, but for me, harm reduction is how I define my recovery, just doing better every day, trying to be a better person. That's all.
Thanks, Lauren.
Okay, this next one is the same thing, right? Let me just go down the line. What types of harm reduction and/or treatment made your recovery possible? The second question, we like to really load these up for you guys, is who or what are the people and things that made the biggest impact on your recovery journey? But what I mean that is, it doesn't have to be a treatment or a person. What things in your life made that journey possible? You know what I mean? You can read the question.
Harm reduction for me, like at first I tried to just remove myself from the world, which is a horrible thing because that just throws you back in relapse because you're by yourself, you're getting depressed, things like that. Really, it was just making sure I speak out was the best harm reduction. Like, nobody knows to help you if you don't say, I need help. Like, people can't read your mind. Like, we're really good at putting on a false persona and letting people think that we're all right. You know, especially as guys, we're always like, there's the expression, if you say, I'm fine, that means there's something wrong with you, you know. So communication is key. I think most people that communication is the biggest problem. Like, we're ashamed to say that we relapse. We're ashamed to say that we're struggling. We're ashamed to say we've lost stuff. We're ashamed. And the shame just weighs on you so much. And the only way to relieve it and drop that baggage is to communicate that to somebody and let somebody assist you. Maybe they have ideas that you're not thinking of. Like, when you're struggling and you can't find answers to your questions, the best thing to do is to help somebody find a suggestion for their problem. You know, that's how the world works, is like just each person helping the next person, and eventually your turn comes around that your problem will get solved, because it's what karma or whatever you want to call it. I'm a firm believer now that, like, when I first got into recovery, it was become selfish until you're selfless. It's bullcrap. Like, be selfless. Be selfless. Like, there's something it does to you. It transforms you. Like, so many problems in the world today that expand way out of recovery is because people are selfless or selfish. They don't want to be selfless. They don't want to put people in front of them. I think that we cure a lot of things by becoming selfless. And what helped me the most, like, first and foremost, is my faith. God is the only reason why I'm sitting here today. Like, Ashley's program did so many things for me when I was in jail, when I got out of jail. Like, I'm sure I bucked and fought more than they would care to admit these days, but, you know, it worked, you know. And it becomes like their selfless action. You know, that selflessness is the key to everything. I think once we understand that as a civilization, that so many problems will be cured for us.
Thanks, James.
Thank you.
What types of harm reduction treatment made my recovery possible?
What?
For me, I think I was finally able to get clean and sober when I was able to start my transition female to male. You know, the start of that journey itself, I got backed into a corner, felt so defeated, like I wasn't ever going to get to where I felt like I needed to be, you know, to be happy in life, to not live in misery, and, you know, be able to smile every day. And I know my mom and my dad wanted that. So once I was finally able to start my transition, you know, it was more than a rock lifted off my shoulders. I can't even describe what it did to me. Kind of what James also said, I want to piggyback off of that. Ashley's program in the jail years back when I was in that was the start of it for me too. After I went in that program, I was introduced to a lot of people, my IOP teacher, my recovery coaches, and all those circle of people helped me start my journey, and which started my recovery process and journey. So I have a lot of, so Centerstone was a huge impact for me, both my transition and my recovery journey. And I think that's all for that question.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, give it to me. What types of harm reduction treatment made you? So I'm on Suboxone. I've been on Suboxone for like 7 or 8 years now. I've tried methadone, and I would love to be on methadone, but it's very hard to get, and you have to go to the clinic every single day, and I suck at that. So I wish we lived in a world where methadone was easier to get, because that's, to me, that worked the best for me but not because of how hard it is to get. But no, I don't know why I just got so nervous.
Second part is what person or thing?
The person or thing that helps me the most is that guy right there, Nick. He saved my life. I don't know what I would do with him without him. But there's been many people, I guess, not just besides him, but his mother. Also, I worked out with her at Middleway House. Miss Molly over there, Mendota, I worked with her as a community-based doula. I've done a lot of things in my life, even though I am a drug user. And those people are the people along the way that have taught me what it is to be a good person, basically, and that I'm not a piece of shit for being a drug user. That doesn't define me. I'm not a piece of shit because I had a kid at 15. I'm not a piece of shit because I'm poor. Sorry to cuss, but those, what? It's hard not to cry because those are the things that I think about myself. That's what society tries to tell me. And also, that's what my family tells me. So if it wasn't for the support system that I built myself, I would be dead. I wouldn't be able to be a mom. I wouldn't have my kids. I have my kids. My oldest son's 20 years old, just turned 20. I have a 17-year-old and an 11-year-old, and they love me, and they don't care that I'm a drug user because I love them. And that's all that really matters, being honest with them and loving them. So I don't think the way the whole system is set up is just, I never had a chance, basically. I don't think any of us really did that are poor or that can see that the world is just not right. And what's the rest of the question? Now I'm rambling. But anyways, for me, my recovery really started when I learned about harm reduction and I started volunteering at the Indiana Recovery Alliance. It's just completely changed my whole outlook on recovery and how I wanted to live my life, because I have been to treatment, I went to NA, I went to AA, and I met really awesome people there, but the stigma is in those rooms. We're drug users stigmatizing other drug users. I wasn't allowed to talk about being on Suboxone 7 years ago because it wasn't a big thing 7 years ago. Now it kind of is, but still you're stigmatized for it. Oh, you're not clean because you're on that. And it's like, what does it matter what I'm doing as long as I'm doing good and I'm with my kids and I'm healthy? Who cares what I'm on? I don't care if I'm on crack and I could do it. Who cares? Like, does that really make you a bad or good person? No, it doesn't. It's what you do in your everyday life and how you treat people. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you, Lauren.
I just said crack.
Scott,
Welcome, Scotty.
Hello, sorry I was a little late. I had some troubles on the way here.
Scott, if you want to meld those two questions into something.
Yeah, I'm gonna. So what types of harm reduction and treatment made my recovery possible?
Well, why don't you introduce yourself first?
Oh, I'm Scotty with Indiana Recovery Alliance. I'm the Syringe Service Program Manager. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. I don't know why, but this question really. So for more than half my life, I have probably been to every single kind of form of what you may call recovery that you could think of. I've been to all the A's, I've been to smart recovery, I've been to sweat lodges, I've tried microdosing, I've tried everything you could possibly think of. My family sent me to California to the big rich places, and they sent me to the worst in New York City. I didn't find recovery in those places, or what recovery means to me, because recovery is up to the individual. It's not up to anyone else to tell me what recovery is for me. So 2016, I met a girl somewhere, and she started to talk to me about harm reduction, and I was like, what's this shit? Are you serious? Now I'm a drug user myself, and I'm saying, are you crazy? People handing out syringes to people, and it didn't just jive with me when I first heard it. But as soon as I walked through the doors of the Indiana Recovery Alliance, everything changed. I finally, for once in my life, found people that I could be myself in front of. People I don't have to hide from. I don't have to lie to. I mean, it's an amazing feeling to have a group of people that are willing to do anything in the world for you. And the whole thing about my recovery equals connection, because without connection, I'm absolutely nothing, and I can't do the work that I do without it. And I'm so glad that I have a whole community of people around me that share the same goals and want to make a difference, because every overdose, every accidental overdose is a drug policy failure. And we really need to start getting on our toes about things in Indiana, because, yeah, we are a little behind here with the times. So I think we need to start listening to the professionals with lived experience in drug use, because we know the most. We know more than people who don't use drugs know. We're the experts. The heroes are the people that are out there saving lives every single day. You may not know, but there's so many lives saved a day in Bloomington by drug users. They're the heroes. I supply them with the stuff. They use it. They're the heroes. They're the ones who should be up here telling their stories of recovery. And that's all I have.
Thank you so much, Scotty. So the next question, of course, is a double-parter. What are some barriers you faced in your recovery, and how did you overcome them?
It can be structural or personal.
Right on. My barrier was the 12-step program. It didn't work. It doesn't work for most people. I get that it's the go-to program, but it's out of date. It doesn't work. I think the more times that we can shave off relapses, the better it is. I don't know what the actual number is, but it's got to be 8, 9, 10 times people do 12 steps before they get it. Like, it should be 2 or 3. Like there's so much money dumped into recovery that we've got to figure something out there. I was locked up for 13 months, I think. I relapsed. I got kicked out of drug court. And I really dove into my faith when I was in there. I read my Bible. Like, within 3-4 months, I read almost my entire Bible. I knew I had to figure something out, and I knew 12-step wasn't working for me. And as I was studying, I realized, because in recovery, higher power, that's the number one thing. That's why they talk about it the most. And I'm finding contradictions. So as I'm sitting in there, I developed something that worked for me. I worked at a recovery center for 2.5 years, excelled, and when I got the opportunity to share what I was doing, I watched other people cut off relapses. So it's possible, like when you make your higher power the number one thing, and you take what your higher power says and you put it above everything else, 12-step programs, what they teach you to do, I don't care what it is, you put that number one, that's how you're saved. That's how you break the chains. Like, I have problems when I go to meetings, so I started my own meetings.
Nice.
When you have problems, you have to overcome them. And I know this kind of goes into your last question, sorry to kind of jump around, but if I can figure something out, like, other people can figure out what works for them. We got to take the 12-step program and make it a blueprint. It's got good principles in there. I'm not knocking what you learn from it. You learn about yourself, but you don't know what to do with it. when I would go volunteer and run groups at recovery centers, like I would show up and they would be so excited to read to me what they were studying that day. And I remember this one time I came in and they started reading this stuff to me, and I just looked around and I was like, what's this even mean? Who can tell me what this means? Not one of them could tell me what it meant. Like, what are we doing? Like if you can't understand what you're being taught, it's time to simplify it or throw it out and get something new. Like, I have a lot of problems in recovery. Like, I've not been allowed at meetings. There's just some places I can't go because of what I believe. And I believe that it's time to wash all this out. Like, because if you can't understand why you're learning something, how are you going to apply it to your life? When you have tools, but you don't understand where to use it and how to use it, how's it going to save your life? But higher power, like, if you don't have one, get one. Like, I can't stress that enough. Like, there's nothing wrong with believing that something created you or that leads you or guides you. Like, it doesn't make you weak. It actually makes you strong, inside and out. And that projects things out, you know. So, sorry, I'm trying to shorten something that's really complex out this shorter. But a long story short, like, the higher power, there's a reason why it's, what, the first 3 steps and then the last 3 steps, something like that. I used to say, I don't care, like, when I'd work with people, I'd say, I don't care what you believe in. Believe the doorknob if that's what you want your higher power to be. And yeah, that's okay, but now I look at it differently. Where do you find truth? Like, how do you know that what you're being taught that you need to apply to your life is true? That's what your higher power does. How do you know when you need to protect yourself or to be led into a different direction? That's what your higher power does. When you're lost and you can't figure out which direction to go, you go to your higher power, and he shows you. And not to beat, I don't like to beat the higher power thing too much because, like, I know a lot of people don't believe as I believe, and some people don't believe in anything. But you have to find truth. You can find truth in a lot of places, but you need to have one source that you can find truth for anything in. And that's why the higher power is so important. Thanks.
Thank you, James.
The last question I forgot to add about the harm reduction for me, a huge one, was Vivitrol. Vivitrol all the way. I'm 110% behind Vivitrol and what it can do, and the strides that it made for me and what it made possible just by staying on that. The time before this, when I was in recovery, I was on Vivitrol for 9 months, and it did awesome. And then I thought I had it. Oh, I got it. Been doing good. 3 days later, I was back out there. So Vivitrol was huge for me, and it still is huge. We're on 3 though, right?
Yeah, 1 thing.
Okay. What were some of my barriers I faced in my journey, and how did I overcome them? The biggest barriers I had personally was finding the right doctors, therapists, and my transition journey. That was a huge part of my journey. Once I got all those things settled out and in stone and connected with all these doctors and what made it all possible, that's why I'm here. And how'd I overcome them? I'm still overcoming some of them. There's things all the time that pop up, and made me think, oh man, what the fuck am I gonna do? Sorry for the cussing. But for me too, faith is huge. It wasn't up until this last time I was incarcerated I started reading the Bible, and that's what started it for me, and got connected back in to praying, just talking to my God, you know. And that's helped me overcome a lot of things. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Alex.
I could list a lot of barriers. I think there's too many, and it's really sad. I think the DCS system is one huge barrier I've experienced, and it did nothing but traumatize me even further, and my children. Did not help us. I think that there's a lot of things that everybody could be doing different, and the biggest thing is to realize we only know our perspective on the world. That's all we can know, period. That's all we can know. We don't know how anybody else experiences the world, only ourselves. You can only change yourself. So it's just crazy to me to think that we get to decide how other people live their life and how they do their recovery or define their recovery. Like, it's great that for some people this way works or this way works, but for some people it doesn't, and that's okay. It should be okay. And if you don't want to stop using, that should be okay too. I don't think it should matter if you use or not, whether people are there for you and love you and treat you good. As long as you're a good person, I don't really understand why. Well, I guess even bad people deserve to be loved. Honestly, that's the way I think. But I just, I think everybody needs to start realizing how we don't know best except for ourselves. And so it's like super triggering, it's super stigmatizing when you hear, well, you should do this because it worked for this many people or whatever. It's like, well, it didn't work for me, and I'm not trying to like talk shit or anything, but for me, God, he's never came and saved me, and I'm happy for the people that find recovery in that, but for me, that's not. And I always like go through this battle like, well, why don't I have family that comes around once I get clean and loves me again like everybody else? Or why doesn't God love me? Why is he not saving me from this horrible addiction? But I just think that's because everybody's recovery is so different, and if we can understand that, I think people could really start getting better, and we could actually help people more. Asking people how they want their recovery to go, or if they even want to get clean in the first place, would be a start. But also, I experienced giant barriers in the with doctors and therapists and all that. So I'm diagnosed ADHD, finally. DCS, that's one good thing they did for me, is got me diagnosed. But did that help me? No. I still can't get the medication I need because I'm a drug user. So I need these drugs, but I can't have them because I'm a drug user. But that's the reason why I do drugs, because I need them. So that just doesn't make any sense to me, but we'll give them children all day. So that's a huge barrier, and I'm still fighting that, and I still am not medicated for my ADHD. No problem giving me Suboxone for my ADHD or my addiction to methamphetamines, which doesn't even make sense, and getting me hooked on an opiate, not telling me, that I was going to be addicted to opiates after that. So that's just kind of my experience and barriers, I guess. There's a million of them. I'm trying to think. I think that I'm constantly trying to overcome them. I don't even think I've overcome any. It sucks to live in this world when you're poor and you're stigmatized and you're a drug user and you're a teen mom and you're this and you're that, and everybody's got some kind of opinion about you, but doesn't even know who you are, really. Like, I feel like I don't know. I think I'm ready. You can go.
Thank you, Lauren.
When I think of the barriers that I went through was the first barrier that I think that I realized that was the truth was all the people at all the places I went to that they thought they knew what was good for me. They didn't listen to me. They told me what to do. They told me I suffered from a hopeless state of mind and body. Folks told me that the only end for me would be jails, institution, and death. And look where I am now. So yeah, if you saw me 6 years ago, it wasn't the same. But it was the connection that kept me together. And society there's a lack of education. And I had that lack of education too. I wasn't sure, like I said earlier, I wasn't sure about harm reduction. But now it's the most important, most important thing in my life. My lived experience got me to where I could help a drug user better than probably a doctor because I know exactly what they're going through. When I look in my participants' eyes, I see me. I see a 19-year-old me. When a girl comes in crying, I see myself every single time a participant comes in. And that's why I do what I love, because I know the barriers that these folks have to face. I'm lucky now that I get to go home to a home with a dog and a partner. These folks have nowhere to go at all, period, because we keep moving them from one place to another. We're going to run out of space in Bloomington, and it's not going to be pretty. I used to, the whole idea, man, my boss taught me that I don't have to hide anymore. I don't have to, people don't have to die in McDonald's bathrooms anymore. And I know that I say that all the time is because I've had several friends die in bathrooms. And because they were with a group of friends that they were too afraid to say, hey, I'm gonna go use real quick. Can you check on me in 2 minutes just to make sure I'm okay? But he won't say it because all the friends will say, oh, well, I'm not going to mess with this junkie. You know, they're going to steal from me. They're going to do this for me. But what I see day to day on outreach in the Indiana Recovery Lines is some of the most beautiful people I have ever met in my whole entire life. These shoes I have on my feet right now came from one of my participants because I said I needed new shoes. I have participants bring me food all the time. We need to start changing the way we think about recovery. We have to. I don't know exactly what that's going to take, but I do know that the Indiana Recovery Alliance and the people who work there are going to fight our asses off until we die for this. So.
Can I say one more thing?
Thank you, Scotty.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Really quick.
I was just thinking, like, barriers that I face. The war on drugs is a giant barrier I face. I also face tainted drugs that have fentanyl and xylazine in them, and speed that has fentanyl in it. You don't even know what the fuck's in the drugs anymore. They're all ruined. They all suck now. Because of the war on drugs and people, I don't know. Like, if you look at the big picture, has it worked? Like, has it worked at all? No, it hasn't. Is there less kids using drugs? No, there's way more kids using drugs nowadays. There's way more people using drugs. So why are we still doing this thing that has completely failed everyone? I mean, I know why, because of money and power. So if we could just stop that for a second and try this whole harm reduction love thing out for a while, just for a second. We'll see if that works. That'd be great, because I think it would work, because I know it's worked in my life and so many others. Love and support, compassion. If you can't do that, then just be quiet and leave people alone. Like, it's that simple. Go ahead.
You know, sitting here talking about boundaries just makes me think about Black and brown people and what they have to go through every single day. We seem to forget that.
I'm going to ask a final question, but I just want to clear something up. When people say drug user, they're not, I want you to understand what that means. That means you are using now, you might use in the past, you might use in the future. It's a blurring of terms to make sure that people can understand what a drug user really is, and so that we can get out of this conundrum of people judging us for just the drugs that we enter into our body. I just want to be really clear about that.
Thank you.
The last question, I just want like a blurb, then we got to go to questions. So just like a minute, just what if you could snap and change something here? Just one change, small change, maybe huge or whatever. What would make the biggest impact on those people in any of the pathways of recovery if you could just make one change? And it doesn't have to be all defining, just something's on the top of your head, something you think about, whatever.
Teaching people how to change. You got to heal your heart. Once your heart's healed, you can use your heart as a moral compass. That way, you know where to go. Like there's this, like I came up with this little analogy. If you got dropped in the middle of the woods and you knew to get home you had to go 15 miles north, how would you do it? You know, and you would look up at the North Star and you would start walking. But the problem is that as you're walking, if you don't keep focusing on that star, you're going to start drifting around because you're going to have to walk over something, you're going to have to walk around something. You're going to lose your focus, but you have to keep focusing on that star. And eventually you'll make it there. Well, that's an analogy for your heart. Like you're telling your heart what to do. Like when you wake up in the morning, you feel great, and the kids give you a hard time and your heart ticks down a little bit, or you're running late and it ticks down a little bit. And this is how you guard your heart. And we got to teach this because when you have a healthy heart, you have a healthy mind and you have a healthy life. And I think that drawing this connection with people would really help change lives. It's as simple as that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One change.
Just a change, yeah. Or two together. Just something that's on your head about a change that you feel like really passionate about and needs to be made.
I guess I'd have to say more grants or more scholarship opportunities for those that are in transitional living or sober living, or that would be the change for me.
Nice.
I know it's easier said than done to make those kind of things happen, but
No, it's good. It's beautiful.
yeah. Columbus, Bartholomew County did that for me. And I believe if more places piggybacked off of what they got going on, or how they have their, I don't know how to really say it, but I don't know, more funding, I guess, more empathy, more understanding and patience, a lot of patience. That's what helped me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
One.
There's a lot of things that could change, and I can't just say one.
Just a quickie. We still got questions.
I think that methadone should be easily, we should be able to get it easily. I shouldn't, just because I smoke marijuana, I shouldn't be able to, I'm not saying I do. I could never get take-homes. No matter how good I did, I could never get take-homes because of that one small thing. Or if you have a prescription for, say, Xanax, you can't get take-homes. So you're gonna have to go every day to the clinic every single day. On your kid's birthday, if your dog died, if your mom died, every day you have to go to the clinic, and you gotta be there by 10 o'clock. And if you have ADHD and you experience time blindness, good luck getting there on time every day. It's really hard. And you could be at the door right with 1 second left, and they will shut the door and laugh in your face. I've experienced that once. And I'm just saying this because I could have died that day. My kids could have lost their mom that day because I had to go get well somehow because I can't be sick and go to work and take care of my kids and do all these things. So I think that should be a big thing that we should change, but I think Indiana's way far behind on that one. Also, I think we need to help the people without a home. I am this close to being without a home myself. I actually stay at Middleway House right this second at the shelter, trying to get my Section 8 transferred from Lawrence County down here. There's nowhere to live here. There's nowhere to live. I've been looking for a place in Bloomington for over a year. Even with a Section 8 voucher, there is nowhere to live in Bloomington. No one wants to take people with Section 8. We're losers, I guess. If you go on Facebook and look at the ads, literally every ad says, no Section 8, no Section 8. Like, that's how we get treated. So when you see someone that's houseless, I really hope maybe everybody in here could think back to me and realize that me and my kids are literally this close to being without a house. And that needs a change. That's crazy. I just don't understand it. And then I think every organization or everybody that's trying to help people that are drug users should be doing it in a harm reduction way. That's just my opinion.
Thank you, Lauren.
The first thing would be money, and then more money, because without money...
Could you say that louder in the microphone, please, Scotty?
Money, 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 money. We can't do what we do without money. And the money that we have been, some of the money that we have got has been from the opioid settlement money. And everybody's like real happy about that. I'm happy about it. I got a new outreach vehicle. But at the end of the day, that's drug users' blood money. And that's exactly what it is. And it's already being, it's just hilarious how people make money off of people that are poor, and that's all that it comes down to. It's a simple, easy way to make money off the poor, and people who know otherwise know how to advocate for themselves. I'm lucky that when I go into a hospital and they tell me you're not getting any pain medication today, I know enough to say, I need a social worker, and I don't want to have this doctor anymore. You came in, you didn't introduce yourself. The first thing you said was you're not getting any pain medicine today. Well, I hate to tell that doctor, I could get far better drugs on the street than I can in the hospital. But because I'm on methadone, non-narcotic pain medication works better for me than a regular narcotic would. So even if they prescribed me something, I would have told them, no, I want the non-narcotic stuff. That's all, short and sweet. No.
We got questions that we need to ask if anybody wants questions.
Okay.
You can say one more thing if you want.
Now I forget what I was going to say, damn it. Go ahead.
Oh, Erica has the microphone. All right. I guess do you have anything, Lauren, before we start?
I'm trying to think of it.
Okay.
I forgot.
Erica, does anybody have any questions for any of the panelists? Erica has the mic right there.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Kaylin. I'm a senior nursing student at IU Bloomington. I want to start off by saying hi to Nick and Scott. I was one of the lucky students that got to volunteer with you guys at Indiana Recovery Alliance last fall, so it's good to see you guys again. So me and my colleagues here, we're all seniors. We're getting ready to join the workforce here in the next year or so. I do remember you guys talking about stigma that you guys have experienced in the healthcare system. My question for you guys are, what are strategies that we can use and implement to make you guys feel not only safe and comfortable with the care that you guys are receiving, but also strategies to make you feel safe and even coming to the hospital in the first place?
Anybody want to take that?
Yeah, I'll take that. I've been in recovery for 6.5 years now. A year and a half ago, I was helping a friend move, and I got really dehydrated and parched, and I went mad dashing into the apartment to get my drink, to get a drink. Apparently I didn't make it because I woke up in an ambulance. As I was going in the door, I had died. Literally, I had died. And I wasn't in addiction, but because of my history, I was treated as an addict. They didn't know that I had 5 years of sobriety time. I almost was not saved because I was a former addict. It finally took people convincing them over and over, like, they just let me sit in the ambulance. They were just gonna let me die. And they finally convinced them that I haven't been using, And that stigma, we've got to shake it. Like, because I'm sure I'm not the only person that this has happened to. Like, my family's really grateful that they finally changed their decision to treat me a different way. But we have to have open minds, and we have to understand, and we have to listen to people. Because if they wouldn't have ever opened their minds and started listening to the people around them, I wouldn't be here today. And it was a non-addict problem that I was having. And I think that there just needs to be more understanding and more teaching, not just in the medical community, but in the legal system. There's a lot of things that we could change and just be more open and understanding and try to understand each other better, because you guys have to protect yourselves with what you prescribe, and we have to protect ourselves with our history. And to find some kind of middle ground to understand where you're not abusing your authority and we're not abusing our position, I think would help solve a lot of that.
Thanks, James.
Thanks. I just want to add also, if you could look at the people as, like you in your mind, you're thinking, well, how do I treat a drug user this way? Stop that right there.
Yeah.
They're a human being. You don't even look at them that. Kill that right there. You guys are a younger generation. You can change this. We're all, the older generation is different, but like you guys can stop that right there. They're the next astronauts. They're the next scientists. Just kill that right there. You know what I mean? If they come in, they look a certain way. That's society that taught you that. You don't know that that's not the next Alfred Einstein, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, because they Narcan me 8 times before they decided to choose to listen to the people around me and go a different way, which finally saved me.
That's insane. Yeah, I agree with Nick. I think looking at people as people, not a drug user or not a cat lover or not this or not that, like, it doesn't matter what you are and what you do. You're a person, and that's all that should matter. That's how people should be looked. The younger generation gives me so much hope because they are awesome. They're super receptive to learning and caring, and I'm just really excited for all these old people to die off, to be honest. That sounds horrible, but there is a lot. That sounds horrible, but I mean, that's where a lot of our problems are coming from. Not saying anybody in this room, but in, like, you know, positions of power, and it really sucks for everybody that's having to deal with that. Like, we should just love people. That's all we should do. It's so simple. I don't know why it's so hard for some.
Thank you, Lauren. Go ahead, next question.
Okay, I'm going to pass it off to Jesse.
Thank you, Erica.
Hello. First, I want to thank you all for coming in here and sharing your truth. I think that I've gained a lot of valuable insights just hearing your lived experience. And one of the most poignant things I heard was at the very beginning, at the outset, hearing that recovery is not being sober. I think that's profound. And I think anyone that, you know, has someone they love that they're supporting that's gone through this experience knows that. My name is Jessie Hollingsworth. I work as a victim's assistant for domestic violence victims when criminal cases are filed. And I know this is going to be kind of opening a bit of a can of worms, but so often we have individuals that reach out and they'll relay that, you know, the support that their family needs at that time is recovery services, treatment, therapy. Oftentimes I'm even interacting with victims themselves that are working on recovery. So often the state has to say, you know, that in order to access those services, the courts have to be involved. We're looking at a conviction, somebody put on probation, and I'm just curious about your take and how you feel about that, but also if you have any other creative solutions to that approach.
First of all, it's disgusting. Sorry, but like there are any these guys can fill in. Sorry, I'm
wanna
talk.
say something.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you can go for a second. I was stuck in a domestic violence situation, living with a guy that was really, really bad to me and my kids. And the court system and the DCS system failed me and my kids highly, if you ask me. They came knocking on my door, and I was to a point that even though I've never trusted DCS, I trusted them for the first time. I tried to. Me and my oldest son, who's 20, was 19 at the time, we were just so sick of being stuck in this horrible situation but had no way out of it, unless, you know, of course, we want to lose all of our animals and stay in a shelter and be separated from each other, which is what I'm having to do. But we didn't want to do that. So first, we tried to trust DCS, and I told them that I was in this horrible situation. The reason why I'm using drugs is because I'm having the shit beat out of me, and it's awful. And I use drugs to not be depressed. People might not realize this, but people say, I've been told, and I've heard it, that you don't love your kids if you do drugs. The whole reason I do drugs is because of my kids. They're at the forefront of every thought I have. And when you're so fucking depressed that you don't want to get out of bed, but you love your kids and you have to and you want to, that's the only thing that you have. It's kept me from killing myself many times. Drugs aren't bad. They've saved my life. Anyways, I told DCS these things, that I'm in this bad relationship, I'm using drugs. Can you please help me? I'm on the Section 8 wait list, and I've been on it for 9 months now. I thought they would bump me up to the top of the wait list. That's what I really thought. And no, no. They came a couple of days later with a judge's order, and they took my daughter from me. Who, if you asked her, she would never want to be without her mom. She loves me, and we have a great relationship, and there was nothing wrong with me as a mom. So, yeah, they took my daughter from me. To be honest, I went running with her. I didn't hand her over, so I almost got arrested for that. Definitely got put in handcuffs in front of my daughter's face because she begged me not to have to be taken from me, and I didn't know what else to do, so I went running with her. And I could have got whatever it's called, kidnapping charges on me for my own daughter. My daughter's awesome, and I'm just gonna tell you what she said to the cops. She said, how could you I love this. How could you, damn it, why did I just lose that? How can you say that she's kidnapping me when I came out of her vagina? And you know who they put my daughter with? Her father, who has a domestic violence felony for putting his hands on me while pregnant and afterwards. That's who they put her with, because he looked good now. He has a wife, his fourth wife, and he's clean, and I wasn't, so he's good, and I'm bad. And that's all it was. And all I had to do was jump through all these hoops. I got my daughter back in 6 months, and that's the fastest I could get her back, though. And we just got traumatized, more traumatized. They took us from a traumatizing situation, and they completely made it so much worse. It's such a failure, and I hear these stories. They're sick. I know there's even a Netflix special of a mom that literally killed herself, and if I didn't get my daughter back, if I didn't have the support that I had through the IRA and everything, I can't live without my daughter. So it's like, what are we doing this for? Why are we taking people's kids from them and giving them to random strangers? Even if you don't fit into DCS's idea of what they think you should live like and how they think you should be, then they will gladly take your kids and give them to a whole different, complete stranger, random family. And what's happening in those homes, our kids are getting raped and molested constantly, and it's disturbing and disgusting. So me, my drug user self, who has never laid a finger on my child and protects her to the fullest, I have my daughter taken from me because I'm a drug user and I put up with domestic violence, so that's my fault. When really it's a system failure. If I had somewhere to live, if I wasn't poor, if all these things, that's what's the problem. Not me. I'm not the problem. That's all I got to say.
Can I have 30
I can
seconds?
talk about this forever.
I would go back to, I want to go back real quick just to say what I was saying earlier. Like, your office needs to have outreach to the community. You can get help through churches. There's, I can't remember what they're called, but there's other community services that reach out, and you guys got to make tentacles to each other. That way, when you can't help them, you have somewhere to suggest them to go to, and if they can't help them, then they have 1 or 2 places they can suggest. We got to be a community. Community fixes everything. If you guys would be more of a community, even with the legal systems, like, that's the way we help people. Everyone has to be involved. We're a community. We have to love everyone, and we all have to be involved, because if one of us fails, we all fail.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Nick and Alex and Lauren and Scotty. Everybody give them a big round of applause. And now we have a break until the morning breakout sessions that start at 11:15.